Good evening, folks. This is Diamond from the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. On Wednesday, November 8th, 9:21 p.m. Mountain Time, 2017. In tonight's solution section, we're going to be talking about preparedness. It's a heads up, so watch to the end of the video, guys. There's big news tonight. The mainstream is telling the truth. Early November snow cover in North America, the highest in over a decade. And I'm going to say it's the highest in over 27 years. But because it matches the data from 14 years ago very closely, they're only giving it 14 years as a record. But guys, there are people up in Canada telling me that there's global warming up here. When's the snow coming? All of Canada is covered with snow except down here near Quebec. So they must be in Quebec. But I assure you, New England and Quebec, the snow is coming this week. So early November snow cover is epic. And the reason that they had this data is because NOAA created a new version of its National Operating Hydrologic Remote Sensing Center. The National Snowfall Analysis version 2 came out this week. This is amazing. This is coming from NOAA. They have not lied about the snow data because it's not global snow losing, it's global warming. So the snow data is fine. What I want you to look at right here is this interactive map. It's amazing. What it's showing you is the snowfall in North America over the last 72 hours. That's it, folks. There it is, 72 hours. There's snow in Pennsylvania, New York, all of the entire New England. There's over a foot of snow in the Texas Panhandle. That's 5.5 weeks from winter. Now, if you come up here to look at the seasonal accumulation of snow, this is just in the fall. This is 3 to 4 to 6 feet already fallen. It's not part of the snowpack because a lot of it melts in the fall. But over 6 feet of snow has fallen in some of these red areas. 6 weeks from winter. So I'm going to leave you links to this. This is the National Snowfall Analysis Map. It just got launched. If you want to know exactly where it's going to snow in the next 24 hours, you click on it. Boom. And we're going to get some snow. Texas Panhandle. It's hilarious. They cannot hide from the truth, folks. When it happens, it's going to happen. So it's already happening, and they already have to cover it. Highest snow in a decade. Over 1/4 of the area of the lower 48 has snow on the ground on November 8th, today. This is the largest aerial coverage of snow on that date in the last 14 years. In at least 14 years. So they're not even sure if it beats that record, according to NOAA. They're embarrassed. They set this up to prove global warming was happening, and it backfired. Look at this upward trend. And what they did is they flipped the graph where today is over here so when idiots look at it, they're going to see a downward trend. But we're here for the truth, so no one would put the graph right to left except the Weather Channel to obfuscate the truth, to make it look like snow's going down. No, snow is going up. Look at the linear trend. Boom, 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 boom. Grand solar minimum much? So the facts are in. In fact, snow cover over North America is also the most expansive for this time of year since the middle of the past decade. Dr. Judah Cohen, Director of the Seasonal Forecasting at Atmospheric and Environmental Research, a Verisk Business, brought to our attention. The heaviest snow cover was found in the northern Rockies, the Canadian Rockies, but snow is also on the ground over a sizable swath of the high plains, north and central plains, and dusted parts of the interior northeast after a brief round of snow on the previous day. This includes the season's first snow in the northern Texas Panhandle on November 8th ever. Hey, Texas! This is despite what has been abnormally warm fall. This is despite global warming, yes. in sharp contrast to 1 year ago when hardly any snow cover could be found. Guys, the climate moves in cycles. You can clearly see the snow cycles here, up and down and up and down, but the trend is way up. These idiots don't know how to read a graph. Now take a look. There's 2016. Here's 2017. Boom! Do you see an uptick, folks? Facts. There are the facts. Let's move on with the update before it gets too long. Bundle up and chill out. Record lows possible in the Northeast by the weekend. Folks on the East Coast should break out their winter coats. A blast of Arctic air will roll in the Northeast by late Thursday, bringing the coldest weather of the season. It's not just the coldest weather of the season. It is the coldest weather ever in history. But why they won't say that is because we're in a global warming world where nonsense is boss. The interior Northeast will see the coldest few days in history. And yet, that's not what the headlines are saying. I can't find that, but I can show you the forecast. It's going to be frigid up here. Weather forecasters predict the UK could be hit by the coldest winter in a decade. You probably noticed this week took a bit of a plunge up there in the UK. After an almost unbearable mild October, serious weather is setting in. I'll tell you, it looks serious. She looks serious. Look at these temps. Belfast, -5. Manchester, -3. It's going to be chilly. That's coming from the Met office. My computer's freezing up here, guys. Bear with me. However, during the second half of the month, there is a great risk of things turning much colder, and this will bring a greater threat of snow. Scotland and the far north will get the coldest conditions, with temperatures dipping to -10. Ladbrokes have slashed their odds of a white Christmas from 2-1 to 5-6. That's almost even odds, guys. That's a ringer. More immediately, the Met Office has stated that widespread frost is expected to spread from the southeast to extreme northwest. Temperatures have dipped as low as -5. Take a look at this fireball in Germany, guys. Talk about the hitting the fan. Anywhere between 3 and 20 seconds this lasted, depending on your angle. This is a large object that happened to burn up in those 3 pulses there. And luckily caused no damage, caused no injuries. It's a major fireball coming through Germany just a few hours ago. I'll leave you links. A very bright fireball exploded over North Germany, 2056 UTC. The event lasted between 3 and 20 seconds. The American Meteor Society received 23 reports of the event on November 8th. Seen from Germany, Sweden, Norway, Netherlands, Belgium, and France. I'll leave you links. This is a major event with thousands of sightings. Nobody mentioned sound associated with the event, but 3 eyewitnesses said they have seen the object fragment, which means there are meteorites in the area, so we can name it and sell it on eBay. Seismic update. Guys, the Fiji area is still ticking off at 5.7s. Even with the small aftershock of 4.5 at 569 kilometers, there is still deep motion at a high level. So we're still waiting for some big activity in this area. Could be you, New Zealand. It's a heads up. Now, if we just Google flooding, you're going to see some amazing, it's flooding everywhere. Dickinson flooding. And this is all recent. Special report on hurricane cars, flooded cars. First warning, forecast clouds rain, tidal flooding, 18-month on Murfreesboro. This is in Arkansas. Flooding. Kingston Spring Elementary School remains closed after flooding. That's in Tennessee. Flooding causes road closure in Akron. That's in Ohio. Flash flooding hits Potokiri after massive deluge. That's in India. Schools to excuse absences due to Tuesday flooding. Flood warning remains for Towanda Creek. There's flooding everywhere. That should be in the mainstream media. Sickness spreads among Ambe villagers in Vanuatu as volcano remains active. Guys, I reported on Vanuatu yesterday. They kept the level up at 3. There is seismic activity in the area, and the volcano continues to erupt, but they let people go home. Now they're all sick. Sulfur dioxide and other things are sickening everyone. Just over 2 weeks since the Vanuatu government started repatriating more than the 11,000 islanders back to their villages after Monaro volcano stabilized, quote unquote. I'm going to tell you, I'm a geologist. This volcano is not stable. Ashfall continues to rain and cause sickness and panic on the villagers. According to the Vanuatu Daily Post on Wednesday, the volcanic ash was now showering the north side of the island, spoiling cabbages, taro, and water as the volcanic alert dropped to level 3. Despite the size of the ash and fearing among the people, the Vanuatu Meteorological and Geohazards Managing Director, Elsine Garaviti, said that the alert level remained the same. Ambe villagers have to wash vegetables thoroughly. At the same time, they need to protect their noses from the smell of volcanic gases. It's a nightmare, only going to get worse. Global climate change is increasing risks of crop yield losses and food insecurity in the tropical Andes, as well as everywhere else in the world. I'll leave you links to all of this. Large-scale crop livestock losses due to hurricanes this year. Everything is low. Let's get to the risk report. Let's talk about positivity. Vulnerability of countries worldwide to extreme natural events has declined this year. Amen. Because people are smartening up. According to this year's World Risk Report, the Alliance of German Aid Agencies, however, there has been a marked increase in extreme weather events, we know that, such as storms and heavy rain. And now we're moving into the snow and cold. This has once again been demonstrated by both hurricanes in the Caribbean and severe storms in Germany. On average, people are better prepared for natural hazards, such as cyclones or earthquakes, than they were 5 years ago. This is the outcome of a 5-year analysis of the World Risk Index. So, you're going to get all these amazing maps on risk susceptibility, so you can make a decision if you're in the right spot. If you're in a very high susceptibility, dependent on public infrastructure, nutrition, income, and the general economic framework, I would get out of Dodge. Dark purple, bad. Pink, So we're looking for green. In the susceptibility range, you want to be looking for green. Lack of adaptive capacities. This is a redundancy to the map. I see a pattern here where I shouldn't be. Sub-Saharan Africa. Safe in Central Africa. So exposure warnings, vulnerability, World Risk Index. And then that's the final. So here's a good synopsis based on everything you need to worry about. I'll leave you links. It's very helpful. Let's go on to earthquake preparedness. This article coming out today, or yesterday, earthquake expert Lucy Jones details a South Bay threat of the big one. Now guys, there's been a lot of activity on the San Andreas. Let's just go to one day all magnitude so I can prove it to you. There you go. And it's still active right now. So there's 3 quakes in the last hour happening right here on the San Andreas, and a lot of activity today. It's a heads up there. Let's move over to the earthquake preparedness. Where did she go? There she is, Lucy Jones, the big one. When a magnitude 7.9 or greater strikes the San Andreas Fault, an estimated 1,800 people in Southern California could die. Roughly 53,000 people will be injured, and 250,000 people will likely be homeless. Compared to a person's chances of being murdered or dying on the freeway, it's not that big of a risk, said Lucy Jones, one of the foremost authorities on earthquakes, who has a way of putting things into perspective. While shaking and collapsing buildings pose an immediate safety threat, it's the aftermath of the major earthquake that Jones said people should prepare themselves for the most. It's a heads up there. You need a bug out bag, you need clean water, you need teamwork, you need community. Roughly 1,500 buildings will collapse, but more than 300,000 structures will likely be severely damaged. which is why she called on every homeowner to have their homes inspected for seismic security and possible retrofits. So guys, if you want to stay in place, it's a heads up there. Inspect your home for seismic security and possible retrofits. This will allow for your foundation to be reinforced so that it become more earthquake proof. You could put expansion joints and other things, as well as additional hardware to make it tighter. Any home built before 1980 is potentially dangerous, and homes built before 1997 should be retrofitted with the new engineering. And there isn't much time, she said. Paleoseismologists who analyze geologic formations to learn when earthquakes happened in the past say a major 8.0 or greater has occurred in Southern California every 150 years. Unfortunately, it's been 340 years since the last one. Now, all of you hoping that the fracking, deep well injection, and all the small quakes that produces is going to save these people, you're wrong. Because the San Andreas and the New Madrid are slow slip faults. They release tens of thousands of small earthquakes prior to the big slip. It's how they adjust and set up. So fracking is not going to save anyone. What it is doing is polluting the subsurface for future generations so that no one will have clean drinking water. So stop the nonsense about lubricating faults. Because once this faults and those people haven't gotten out of there, it could be days or weeks before power is restored. Of the estimated 1,600 structure fires predicted, the fire department will likely not be able to get to all of them, which means many people just might have to fight those fires themselves. It's happened before. History will repeat itself. We worry about earthquakes killing us, which we shouldn't, Jones said. You are far more likely to be murdered in South Central. However, we don't worry sufficiently about the capacity of the earthquakes to bankrupt us and to destroy our communities and kill our neighbors. You may live through this and decide you don't want to stay. Everything a community does to come together is critical to how we get through this. And that's the key statement. Perhaps one of the only upsides to a major Southland quake would be a decrease in population. After every major earthquake, the population has decreased, including the 71 and 94 quake. The most important thing people can do to prepare for an earthquake is know their neighbors. A coordinated response effort locally will ensure a quicker recovery and a greater level of safety. Create a team, create a plan, create a meeting area, and practice. Store water. Get ready for the fires. Do it with your family and do it with the community. Guys, before we end tonight, I want to cover the heartbeat of the sun. For those of you that are confused or new, we've covered this in previous videos. And this is coming from Zarkova, Shepard, Popova, Zarkov. It's a 2015 paper. I'll leave you a link. But what they did was calculate the amplitude of the output of the sun based on historical data. We have lots of proxy data from Greenland and Antarctica. It's excellent data. The scientists who work on it protect that data like it's gold. So it can't be tampered with by NASA and NOAA. So what you're looking at is the truth. When you translate that to solar cycles, guys, we're in solar cycle 24. We just came off of an X-ray event that gave us a little bit of flare activity, which they predicted here during the drop-off of solar cycle 24. And we're about to go into the lowest period of solar activity in modern history. In fact, it's predicted that during the drop-off here of solar cycle 25, around 2023, the primer fields of the sun could shut down. We're going to be here in this dead amplitude zone. And for over 3 decades, the sun is going to go flat, which is going to drop global temperature by a minimum of 0.6 C. But during this time, increased seismic activity and volcanism worldwide, which we are monitoring, is on the uptick, is going to cause the temperature to drop even more rapidly. Now, this is back during the Dalton and Maunder minimum. And you can clearly see the amplitude here is very scary. So you may not have time to prepare. You may have till 2023, but we could have a catastrophe sometime in 2018. Either of these two cusp points are the breaking off point. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. We're going to be doing more videos on preparedness. We're going to be covering the solar shutdown. Guys, we launched a Patreon page yesterday. We already have 6 supporters. I want to thank all those supporters for getting involved in what we're doing here at the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Together, we can get through this. We can be self-sufficient. We can live in abundance. But we need to start preparing now. If you're not preparing now, you're missing out on the potential for an abundant future when everything changes in the world, sometime right around here. Be safe.